All right, y'all, let's get into chapter 2 of Esther. So, in chapter 2 is where Queen Esther was introduced. So, at this point in the story, the king sent out people to go find virgins so he can find someone that he's going to crown his new queen. Esther was one of the virgins. She was sort of like an orphan. Her parents died, I believe, and she was raised by her uncle. Her uncle name was Mordecai. That's going to be important for another chapter. So Esther was a beautiful woman, but here's the thing. It's always talked about that she had favor from the king, but she also had favor from the keeper of women that is going to keep her and help her, beautify her, get her ready to be presented for the king. The keeper of women's name is Haggai, and Haggai is also a chamberlain of the king, which basically means that he was pretty close to the king. He kind of knows his patterns, he knows his ways, he knows what he likes, he knows what he dislikes. He's in close proximity with the king. Now, it says in Esther 2 that Haggai was pleased by Esther when he saw her, and he gave her and her maidens the best room in the house. So the house was basically, the house was for the virgins to come and prepare themselves for the king. It took Esther and the other women that was, the other virgin women that was, I guess, in competition, if you want to say, to be a queen. They went into this house to get purified, beautified, all the things. So I highlighted in this chapter the word favor, and let me tell you what it means in the concordance. Favor means grace, charm, elegance, acceptance, kindness, precious, goodwill, and acceptable to him. Now let me read to you Esther chapter 2 verse 15, and this is where it gets good, and this is where the pointers start to come in. I'm reading to you out of the KJV. It says, Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Haggai the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So let's get into that real quick. She required nothing but what Haggai the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. Let's talk about why that in itself is so good. So like I said before, Haggai is the king's chamberlain. What does that mean? That means he's in close proximity to the king. That means he knows the king better than Esther does. He knows the king better than anybody else in the house does, because he is very, very connected with the king. She requested nothing. She required nothing but what Haggai recommended. Esther was a wise woman. She got advice from the person that was closest to the king to know how to present herself to the king. She didn't just go in like winging it. Like, she got advice from somebody that knows the king. As a woman, when it comes to a man, this is the revelation that I got when I was receiving it. As a woman, when it comes to a man, you want to get advice and you want to get help from the person that's closest to that man. Who's closest to that man? It's not his mama. It's not his daddy. It's God. That's why that is so good to me. So in the chapter, is not, Haggai isn't God, he isn't the Holy Spirit. But when I was reading it, I kind of received that when it comes to your partner, when it comes to a man, you want to seek God first. And we're going to get into that in another chapter too, because it gets to that point in this book too. But you want to seek God to know how to deal with this man, to know how to present yourself to this man, because you don't want to just do it. You don't want to just wing it. You want to be strategic. Esther was a very strategic woman. She was wise. She didn't just do things her own way because she knew it all and she had all the answers. No, she was teachable, and she was receptive of advice on how to go about and handle things from somebody who knew better than she did. That's T. Take that in. Well, at least I did. Okay, and then it also says that she obtained favor in the sight of all of them who looked upon her. So it wasn't just about her being beautiful. It was about her aura, the grace that she carried, like how she presented herself. It wasn't ordinary, because I'm assuming all of the virgins had to be beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to just choose any old body for the king. They all had to be beautiful. But Esther had something else about her that made her favored by everybody that looked on her it was how she carried herself. It was her aura. It was her demeanor. It was bigger than just a pretty face. So Esther received favor by just showing up as herself. She was her. She didn't have to do anything. She just was. She just came in as her. She got advice. She sought, advice, and she listened to the advice that was given to her, but she just showed up as her. She was just her. She didn't have to prove herself. She didn't do anything extra. Like it said that she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. So she didn't try to go extra and above and beyond. She didn't adorn herself with extra jewels or wore extra perfume. Like, she didn't try to do the most. She didn't try. She didn't try to prove herself or anything like that. She just was who she was. And she stood in that. She was confident, and she just stood in who she was. Favor was a gift that was given to her. Favor wasn't earned. She didn't do anything to earn it. It was just given, and she received it. That's another thing too. Like, when Haggai gave her and her maidens the best room in the house, she wasn't like, oh no, don't do that. Like, it's okay. Give it to somebody else more deserving. Like, no, she received all the favor that she was given. She took it in. She moved like she deserved it. They said, here you go. I want to get it to you. She was like, okay, thank you. I could just tell, like, just by reading, I could just tell that she exuded confidence. She exuded, like, she was that girl and she knew it, but it wasn't in an arrogant and cocky way. It was just, she was just graceful with it. So just show up as you. Like, seek God for answers. This is what I received from Esther 2. Seek God for answers. Be receptive of the lessons that he's given. Take it in, because I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I know that. So I know the one who does know all the answers and knows everything, though. And so, like, be receptive of what he's telling me, and just show up as me and just be me. And I'm already graced and favored, because favor is a gift that was already given to me. Yeah, y'all, chapter 2 was so good. Chapter 2 was good to me. So I'm going to talk on chapter 3 in the next video. But let me know what y'all think about chapter 2.